Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner Studio, and with me today is Dr. Chris Ballenger. Dr. Ballenger is our superintendent of the Warren County Public Schools. And believe it or not, it is time for school to start.
Oh, it is. It is.
So tell us when that, I hear all the hubbub. I posted a story today, how to save money on school supplies. So, I figured, well, it's time.
Yes, sir. And so really, Mike, we had new teachers.
Yeah, that was
started yesterday.
Yeah.
So all this week is new teacher orientation, and so we have all of our new teachers coming in. We had some great partners with the Chamber of Commerce, bringing some local businesses in yesterday that teachers can get affiliated with, and had a great lunch yesterday. So appreciate the partnerships that we have, and we have other organizations coming in today to also provide some information. But new teachers are back. Then next week we roll into August the 2nd. All staff are required to come back. So we will have everybody back on board, be fully going, open, ready to...
Where's the summer gone?
It goes quick.
It's like it was yesterday, was a graduation.
Yes, sir. It does go quick.
It does. So school starts when? The 9th, I understand?
School starts the 9th.
9th?
Yes, sir. But so teachers come back on the 3rd. Then on the 4th, we have our open house night, which sent that press release out.
Right.
So hopefully everybody's received that press release, and we're ready to open our arms, open our doors, and welcome everybody back. So we will have our parent-teacher conference, or our open house on Thursday. We roll into our convocation on Friday with our staff, and then we start school on the 9th.
Oh. No wonder why this man doesn't have any hair.
And throw in a school board meeting on Wednesday.
That's right. There's a school Thursday, Wednesday.
Wednesday.
That's next
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
The 3rd. We have the 3rd. So throw a school board meeting in there too.
So what are some of the new things that are going on and reminders we want to remind parents about the school this year?
Okay. Well, with school starting, we're not used to seeing those buses out on the street. We're not used to seeing those.
It's kind of nice to drive at 7:30 without the school bus blocking the road, right?
Without that stop sign.
That's right, going in and out, and stopping the traffic. But
we're going to have those that walk to school. So we're going to start seeing some of our students back on the sidewalks, utilizing our crosswalks, utilizing school transportation when it comes to providing or getting to school and providing services. So I think that one thing I would like the community to be aware of, that on the 9th, you're going to see a little more traffic, specifically around our schools. But just be aware of those students that are walking. Be aware of those bus signs that when the arm is out and it says stop, we could have that little one walking in front of the bus or coming across the street to get on the bus. So just be aware of the safety concerns that we have when students are returning back to school on the 9th.
Right. It's really you'd think people would know that, but it's surprisingly how many citations you see for people violating speed limits in school zones, passing a school bus. They don't know what the law is, divided highway, all the mess that goes with it. But you got to pay attention to when those lights are flashing. Pay attention, and it's a real safety issue because, like you said, we don't know these kids. Kids are kids. They just drop something, run out and get it, and not even think about the traffic. They don't even think about it.
Well, and for us as adults, it's been a couple of months here without seeing a lot of traffic, and you take that traffic off of the streets and off of our sidewalk. You're not used to having it, and then all of a sudden on August 9th, here it all is again, and what happened? What's going on?
We really noticed it around 3:30 going down through town, because you can tell when the high schools get out and the kids in their cars and the buses and parents picking up kids, because I don't think anybody walks to school anymore. It seems like the lines are picking up kids, and the traffic is really heavy from that 2:30, 3:30 time frame in town, and same in the morning too. So like I said, we'll just take a little extra effort. Leave a little early. Take that extra 5 minutes, because the roads will be busier. It'll happen. So what else you got? You got a long list here, so let's see what else you have.
Well, along with our concerns with safety and school buses and starting school. One thing I did want to talk about is, with COVID, over the last couple of years, we've had a divide as far as a gap that was created because we had to shut schools down. We couldn't let parents in. We basically had to keep our doors closed. We kind of started opening our doors towards the end of the school year, but really the theme this year is family engagement. We know that COVID caused a lot of things in schools, and we want to make sure that we're closing that gap with our families and bringing them back in and engaging them again in productive ways so that we can support them in educating their children on a daily basis.
Do you plan some sort of events throughout the year to maybe encourage people to actually pay attention to their kids in school, see what's going on?
Each school will have different nights and different things that they'll do, and some of those things were put on pause due to COVID.
Definitely.
And so we will re-energize those, put some new batteries in them, and maybe.
'Cause I know the teachers really want that. I mean, they want that engagement, and they really care about their students. You can tell. We've taken the camera over and done a few things at different schools, and you can really tell, especially those kindergarten teachers. I tell you, they are engaged with their students, and it's just amazing. All the elementary schools we've gone to has really worked out. You can see, you can see it. Maybe the high school, no, high school too, but you know what I'm saying. It's a little different. And I'm amazed, really, at the teachers and the things that they do. They've done so much for so long with so little. They can do anything with nothing.
They have. They are, in my mind, our teachers are superheroes.
Yeah.
And all school staff are. I mean,
Sure,
you have to have that love for educating and passion to serve, and this is what they do. And so
when you mention all people, I can remember a janitor at our school was really engaged with students and made a big difference. A lot of times you don't expect your custodian to be that way, but they're friendly. The kids carry on conversations with different people, and that teaches them lifelong lessons. To engage with all types of people, just not your teacher or anyone else. I think that's important.
It is, and it's all about relationships. You're right. It's building those relationships with those students, and it's building those relationships with those families.
Right.
And those relationships have kind of been non-existent the last couple of years because of the situation that we've been on. Everything's been through that screen. If you had a parent-teacher conference, it may have been over a Google Meet or something of that nature, and we've lost that connection. And so we want to make sure that we are involving our families. We are here to support them, and we want to make sure that we're providing them with the services that they need to help educate their children.
Right. One of the things you mentioned and you sent out earlier, that's on a grading program. Before. You had this thing about you couldn't get lower than a 50. So what's that? Is that still on, or do you change it, or you're getting back to the,
So no, that and of course that was something I inherited. So when I came in, that was already in place. When I was going around doing my introduction talks at schools, my first year here, that was one of the themes that came out from all of the schools was we need to reevaluate the grading policy.
Every parent tells me that's the dumbest thing I ever think.
And
but
so, that
it's not dumb. You know what I mean? It's just like they don't understand.
Well, and there is some merit to some of the things that were of concern in that former grading policy. But I think it kind of went down a different path than what probably the intention was. So looking at what we have done towards the end of last year, brought together 3 committees, one at the elementary, one at the middle, one at the high. We spent multiple weeks meeting, going over the current grading policy that was in effect at that point in time, and then reorganizing it and changing what that committee felt needed to be changed. And so now you have a new grading policy. That yes, there are some changes, and one is that 50% is no longer there. That if a student does not attempt to work, or if a student does not attempt an assessment, then they will not receive credit for it. Because really and truly, what we need to do is we need to understand if a student understands the content, and we have to evaluate that on a daily basis. And so by deciding not to do an assessment, a test, that is a summative evaluation. Well, if a student refuses to do that, then we can't evaluate if they actually know the content to be able to move on. And so we have to trust our educators and their expert opinion when it comes to the evaluation of student knowledge or understanding. And so you look at that and you move through that policy. We did make some adjustments as far as all summative will be 70%, formative will be 30%. And each area, so as far as middle school, elementary, high school, they all are a little bit different. And I thought going into this it may be, because we're going to do something at elementary, we're still herding. We're still guiding. At middle school, we're starting to let them explore. And at high school, they're pretty self-sufficient. And so there are some differences within each of those little sections when it comes to elementary, middle, and high school. But looking at it from a school standpoint, I think it's good for our community because, one, we need to make sure that we are preparing our students for college and career. I don't know if you've ever been to a job that if you decide not to do anything, you would get half pay. So, I don't want to throw a sense of something that's not going to happen out there.
I've never worked for the government, so I wouldn't know how that is.
Yeah, but make sure that those students understand. Now, one of the other changes that we made that's kind of big for middle school is we've actually, in the old policy, it was that to be promoted, students had to pass English or English and math, and then just 2 other subjects. So that could have been science, that could have been history, that could have been PE, that could have been chorus, that could have been any of their other courses that they could take. So this committee decided we want to make sure that our students have a solid foundation in the core. And so we have changed that to where for promotion at middle school, you have to pass English, math, science, and history. If we need to remediate through summer school to make that up, or if there's a repeat the next year, then that'll be a repeat for next year. But that committee felt very strong that we needed to have that.
I've had this conversation with several people, and that's about the schools really are producing a product, and when they go to the workforce, people have an expectation that when you have that high school diploma, you have certain skill levels. And, maybe we need to be putting that guarantee on our product.
That's right.
I tell people about the example of Lee Iacocca and Chrysler when he was at an educator conference, and he said, we were spending millions and millions of dollars retraining high school graduates from the Detroit school system. And finally we said, enough is enough. You're going to have to guarantee these students, and if they can't do the job, you're going to pay for it to retrain them, not us. Mm-hmm. And so they formed a partnership and worked that out. But it's true, we don't think about students being a product of our future, but if they can't perform, I talk to these kids all the time. Oh, I dropped out of school. I said, big mistake. Even the military now won't take you without a high school diploma. GED, not good enough. And basically, it's not that they don't even care what your diploma's in. Just don't quit. We want to show that you can complete something. It's kind of like your college degree. Most employers don't even care what your degree's in unless, it's particular, specific to the job. They just want to know you're not a quitter. You did something. You completed something, and you're going to stick around. I mean, that's to me what it means. And I don't it means the same to an educator, but
well, one thing that I want to do is, as a school division, I wanted to increase our standards.
Right.
What are our expectations? Yeah. What are our values? And so this is one way that we are increasing our expectations, not just for us, but for our community.
Right.
We know that there can be some challenges this year. With any change initiative, you're going to have some hiccups. Some students have been living with this policy their entire school career. They know nothing different than the former policy.
Right.
So working with students, working with parents, working with teachers, it's going to be a collaborative effort working through that this year.
Right.
But we do have our expectations. And I think it's good that we are setting those expectations high for our students in our community,
Right.
because we want to be one of the best schools in the Commonwealth.
It makes a big difference. I mean, when we're looking at, from a community standpoint of jobs and taxes and homes being built, this it all really works around what workforce is available. What's the skill level of your workforce? And if they're all barely making it, you're only going to get certain kind of jobs. Not everybody's going to be a brain surgeon or a school superintendent, but there's a need for everyone on the scale. But it's the jobs are moving in the high tech area. I mean, more skills are available, and and also these interpersonal skills are important. You might be
the soft skills.
You might be a perfect math genius, but if you can't get along with your coworker, and these are the kind of social skills that I think that schools do teach. I read something on the news this morning about wacky programs that colleges are teaching, but one of them that stuck out is talk about what do you learn from failure? But really, you can learn a lot from failure. That's what reminds me of these schools. Some kids, they don't make it, they don't participate, and all of a sudden they see the results of the failure of what happened to them, and some are, get a little kick in the rear there and realize, they have this aha moment. Oh, that ain't going to work out so well, and they start thriving. And I think that's really what we want. We want to get away from just surviving, but to thriving. That's what I think your goals,
right.
are.
Well, and you mentioned learning from our failures. I mean, all of our technology is built upon failures.
Oh, sure.
It didn't happen overnight, and it didn't happen on the first try.
No, most things.
So
Trust me, as you well know, I'm sure you had plenty of redos in your career.
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Another hot topic, and he handed me this paper, and I said, let's see what that's all about. And that's cell phone usage. These everyone, I'm going to say kids, but probably more adults. You see them walking down a road and walking to a street pole because they got their telephone in front of them. And I said, well, how in the world did we make it growing up in school before cell phones? But it's just like every little kid. I mean, they're 5 years old, 6, got a cell phone, And so how's that? I hear a lot of complaints at school about cell phones.
Right. Well, with one of the reasons that cell phones were allowed was before. When technology started coming out, schools didn't have the resources to provide the technology or the one-to-one, the devices. And so it was a bring your own device, or, allow these devices to come in so that we can integrate technology. Well, now we're one-to-one. We have a laptop or a Chromebook or a tablet for every student. Mr. Grant has done a great job in providing that platform for us, and then those resources, and making sure the infrastructure is in place. So now we kind of don't need them as far as concerning the instruction.
Right.
Some other things that we see is that cell phones now are being used inappropriately.
Like
one of the
passing
big
notes
things
in our day, right?
Yeah, it was.
Passing notes.
Now they pass a note. Now you take a picture and you just text it. But no, one of the things, last year we struggled at the first of the year with some TikTok challenges.
Right.
And it was videoing destroying bathrooms. So you remove that medium, and then you're going to be able to make sure your environment is safe, and that we're protecting our environment. And so, and there's other inappropriate uses. You now have cyberbullying. You have taking pictures or videoing people that you shouldn't be videoing.
Exactly.
It's a classroom. You're supposed to be in there for instruction. You're there to learn. You're not there to do all this other stuff. And so, we're going to go from bell to bell, no cell phones, and now there are some discipline that can roll in with that. The first one's going to be a warning from the teacher, put it away. Now this was, I'm talking at the high school level here.
Sure.
At elementary and middle, it's going to be in their bag in their locker.
That's right. Yeah. Right. We got to start that like day one, because the first day sets the tone for the year, doesn't it?
It does.
You got to
Yes,
stress
sir.
to your teachers, if you don't do this on day one, day two is too late.
Yes, sir. And that is the message that we're putting out, that this is something that all staff is following. Some of the surveys that we went through last year, we had some staff that were real strict, said, no, I don't allow cell phones.
Right.
You had some staff that said, if they're done with their work, I don't care.
Right.
Well, we need to have some
across the board policies,
some uniformity between everything.
Yeah, it makes it easier to
some cohesiveness,
Yes.
and so it's going to be no all across the board, unless it's an emergency. Now the principal at the high schools can give a student the opportunity to use their phone if they need to. So but we're going to go through those processes, and it is going to be those teachers in the classroom that's going to be first off giving the warning, giving a call to the parent, and then we're going to on the third time it goes over to the principal, and from that point forward the principal takes care of it, and so just making sure that our students feel safe, that our students are there to learn. We're not there to do all this other stuff. I could care less about TikTok challenges or what's somebody's posting on Facebook.
Right.
I'm in algebra class. I'm there to learn algebra.
Right.
I'm in English class, and I'm there to learn whatever. I'm there to learn.
Right.
So
that's my job, and that's
that
thing,
is their job.
That's their job, to go to school and learn. Right.
So
I fight it here all the time. I've seen other, and like you said, years ago, never had that issue.
Right. Yeah. So, and so hopefully that will help us out with our. Our goal is to be one of the top schools in the Commonwealth, and so in order to do that, we have to be able to focus on what we're doing in the classroom. We have to have the students' undivided attention. So that they can work together, so that we can understand. So we're just moving in that direction to make sure that we can provide a quality product. And
I think parents want that.
Mm-hmm.
They ultimately, no matter what they do and complain, they ultimately want their kid to learn as much as possible and be a good student. No one wants their kid to fail.
Right.
No one.
Right.
No one.
No. Everybody wants their, and us as parents, we always want our children to supersede us as far as
Sure.
what we had as children, or
Sure.
as parents. We want our children to go on and do better than we did in life.
Sure.
And so
Some of these policies remind me, what have we done anything different on our attendance? Because that's always a sore subject. You're missing 90 days of school and you're still graduating. I mean, it seems like that's an issue.
Well, so chronic absenteeism is something that we're focusing on. We are going
Don't
to
they have the truant officers anymore to go pound on the door and
we
drag
do
them in?
have a couple of attendance officers.
Oh, attendance.
Yes, we call them attendance officers, and they do a great job. And this was one of our topics that we had at our administrative retreat with school administrators. We talked about attendance and our processes, and we know that now last year we did have some schools that were high chronically absent as far as their rate. Actually, most of our schools. But I think there was also some confusion because the year before we didn't penalize anybody for saying, hey, I'm going to be virtual today.
Right.
That was a different year than last year. And this is a different year. Right now, we haven't received, and even last year, we did not receive any notification as far as from the VDOE that is allowed. The only thing that they did allow last year was that if a student was diagnosed with COVID or was exposed, then we could list them as virtually present because they were sick and because of COVID. Mm-hmm. Now, right now, we haven't received any guidance as far as even a virtual present for this year. So that means we have two options. The first option is virtual, which goes through Virtual Virginia, which the deadline has already closed for that. We advertised that all last semester leading up. And so if parents didn't get into it, then for their children, they're not going to be able to switch. So there's no switching back and forth. Or you're in person. which means your child is required to be there, and follow the compulsory school attendance guidelines that's set forth by in Virginia code, and that we have to follow. And so, and I know that maybe we didn't get that out to parents as a school system, but just knowing that a virtual day is not an option. If you're not,
everyone's going to be
you're not there.
expected to come to school.
Yes,
Right.
we we need them there.
I don't think parents realize too that the attendance percentage really affects the amount of money that the state over time. Is that correct? I mean,
Well, it's tied into
it's a
your
budget.
average
I mean,
daily membership.
It's a there's a formula, and attendance is plugged in there
It,
somewhere.
it ties into your average daily membership.
Yep. Oh, now it's membership and not
So,
changing the definition of it.
but really for our students to be prepared for life,
Right.
they need to be there. We need to provide. We want to help them, and but working with parents and families, and with this family engagement piece, to where we can push out information in advance of what's coming up, so that they can help in supporting us and knowing what we're trying to accomplish, and form that better partnership. And we need our parents.
Right.
We need them to help us. This door swings both ways.
Sure.
And so we definitely need their support, and we need their help. So
And I would say it's like most things. You have 98% compliance. Everybody gets up and goes to school, but you have that couple percent of students, and we just need to look at it. Sometimes it's just a matter of they're bored. They're not challenged. It's not that they're not intelligent. Most of them are very intelligent, and they're just like, that's maybe I need to do something else other than what you're telling me I have to take, and maybe that's maybe we need to create a curriculum that challenges some of our students. It's not everyone, but
Well, I mean, I think we have a challenging curriculum in a lot of aspects. We are part of Mountain Vista Governor School. We have a lot of dual enrollment classes at our high schools. I think what it comes down to is instruction in the classroom to make sure that it's engagement.
And problems at
it's
home.
engagement.
It's a whole thing, being engaged. Maybe you can find out that they're going through a struggle in their home life. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why it happens. It's just not always about going to school.
And it's just building those relationships. And so, but we really want to make sure that we have that student engagement, that we modify some of our instructional practices, so that our students are engaged and that they are ready to come to school, that they want to come to school. I'll be honest with you. I was one of those students. I love school. So I went to school every day. If I missed 1 or 2 days in a year, that was a lot for me. But
look what you become.
I just but no, I enjoyed school, and I think my teachers made it very interesting for me. They wanted me to. Would you want to come to work all day if there was nothing for you to do?
People say, like, why are you still working? Why aren't you retired? I said, I enjoy going to work.
Yeah, there's a lot you can get done.
Sure. So, and I think it's the same thing about school. I enjoyed school. I enjoyed a lot. I tell people, I said, I went to a lot of my higher education was like correspondence courses, because not internet, and you can imagine trying to learn trig and algebra and physics by correspondence.
Yeah,
it wasn't easy, but you can push through it, and the result, the rewards are worth the result or the effort, and I think that's good. So a lot of things happening at school. It's the first week or so. Let's get this started, get school started. Let's get back together maybe after the first couple of weeks, and let's see how things are going, to see if we've modified any of these policies.
That sounds great. That's just, it's we're excited. I'm excited.
Well, I can tell you that the public is really interested in schools. And I think I've shared this with you before. Like when we go to these school board work sessions, very low attendance, but primarily because of COVID in the past. But let me tell you what, they watch those videos, and if we miss, like I did miss one,
yes,
and all of a sudden I'm getting calls from, I got a call from him, hey, you missed the thing. But parents call, where's my video? And we get hundreds and hundreds I'm talking about 300 and 400 views
Yeah.
of a 4 hour long school board workshop, work session. So
that's good.
Parents, a lot more than say watching the town council, but people are interested in the school system and what's going on with their kids, and I think it's that's a good sign. I mean, that tells you that people are being engaged into it and want to know what's going on, and we get a lot of comments on that.
And we welcome that engagement. And so
just to let you know that people are aware of what's going on, and I think they enjoy listening to it instead of me writing. You write a story and see it in the newspaper, and it's like one paragraph, and it's a 4 hour meeting. Sometimes people want to know. So we call that the news behind the news. We're going to let you form your own opinion and give it to you whole instead of editing it out. Just kind of like what we're doing now. I'm not going to edit this, so when I flub it all up, it's going to be in there. But people like that, I think, and they want to hear what's going on from our schools. And I appreciate you coming in and sharing that with us. And I think that you're always open. He's very open. And so always I say, reach out to the schools. I've always had good luck with the public school systems. You always tell stories about people, they won't listen. But I think there's a lot of great programs that we have. That dual enrollment is like a golden gem that people don't take advantage of, and I think that's something that we're going to see more and more as we go future. This is our community college system engaging students, and I think that's a great program. And but there's a lot of other things too, and it just takes time, and someone there cracking the whip. That's what it takes, and getting people all on the same page. And I'm sure you stepped into when you take over, and it takes a while to get you can't turn a ship on a dime, you know what I mean? That's what they say.
You step into a new community, it takes time to acclimate. And
I think
and
people have
understand
embraced your leadership. I haven't heard anything too bad about you, so that's a good sign, That's good. I mean, I think you're approachable, and so far I've never heard anybody say anything bad about the system. So, because I tell you,
we're here for our parents, for our community.
Yeah, and that comes across, and I think people can see that.
And so, the main thing, we just really want to close that gap that we know has been created
Sure.
Over the past couple of years, right. And we're excited about the opportunities, and we're going to be working towards this all year long. So
I wanted to tell you one thing. I think you and Kale ought to change jobs for the day and see if anybody would notice.
Do a job switch or something.
No one know what we're talking about, but
Well, we took a picture. He was at our retreat that one day, and I think the Front Rural Police posted it on their Twitter or something. So, but no, and we do appreciate our partners, our community partners, and so
community is very supportive of things going on, and there's just a lot of things that's happened over the years, and you've moved some people around. I hate to see Shane leave EW. He was great at that school. He's great at what he's doing now.
Yes.
Because my grandkids were going there, and he was very approachable as well. And I think you see that as you go around. When I'm going to the schools, I find that things are a lot different. For me anyway, just with the change of leadership and just moving some people around, I can see a big difference in just the attitude and the camaraderie, so to speak, of the schools. There's not that, battling between each and different school trying to be, different. They're all kind of trying to work together on things. So I see it. I see it. So
we're all here for the community.
I think so.
We have to work toward that one goal.
As they say, when the tide raises all the ships, So I appreciate it, Chris. Thanks so much.
Sir.
We'll see you maybe next month, and we'll talk some more.
That sounds good. Right. And I just wanted to let all the families know, thank you for choosing Warren County Public Schools, and we look forward to working with you this year.
And pay attention. Them kids will be on the street next week, or 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yes.
2 weeks.
August the 9th.
August the 9th. All right. Thanks again.
Thank you.